Hey, welcome back to Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Vinny. And dang, we got some crazy numbers out about inflation again. Jay Powell just continues to screw the American taxpayer, if you will. It's their favorite position, right? But we want to dive into it a little bit, talk about what's going on with American consumers.
Hot take on my man Jay Powell. All right. If you like this kind of entertaining stock market content, and apparently Vinny offending my man, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe, and we'll get started.
Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks.
Just had to take the complete opposite position from Warren Buffett when he called him a hero.
Look, if you and he's not, what's that guy, Rumpelstiltskin, where he spins something out of, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube.
I don't even want to know where the hell you're going with that story, but yeah, I mean, yeah,
He inherited a plate of not goodness. I'm trying to be politically correct, and is doing the best he can.
Understood. No, nothing is truly good or evil. It's always a mix of two. I completely agree. But you've seen the kind of results of this unfettered economic support that they had to administer to the U.S. economy during the whole COVID crash. That's what we're dealing with right here. No word about it. This is not supply chain stuff anymore. This is just like money printing and demand.
Yeah.
This is why Biden's op-ed reads that much more off base, in my opinion, as he's talking about fixing the supply chain. The supply chain has been fixed. It's that people are still spending money. But this is the latest CPI number. Came out this week at 8.6%. Unfortunately, we were kind of hoping that this is a little bit of a retracement here, that we had maybe put in a peak and we're starting to head back down.
It was a fake out.
No. Yeah, it was a little double tap here. Maybe it's forming a lot of resistance. The CPI numbers do that, like stock charts do. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think so. Unfortunate, but basically it went down to like 8.3. So we're like, all right, anything below 8.3, we'll take it. And then it was like, what was it, like 8.6 or something?
8.6, yeah. Unfortunately, kind of not surprised. Unfortunately, the big things that are still moving it, are basic staples of life. Unfortunately, so food at home, outperforming even that. You're talking about I don't remember what the exact number here it was, but you're over 10% for food at home year-over-year increase, which is scary. Everyone you talk to, I don't know how many people in your life you talk to about economic stuff all the time, but have you had anyone that said no, I'm spending the same amount on groceries that I used to?
No, that's not a thing. Everyone's double. It's pretty ridiculous. I think Rubio's just charged me $12 for a bean and cheese burrito, so pretty solid.
Not even any protein in there. Well, I mean, like a meat. It's crazy. The energy prices are underlying a good portion of this. Unfortunately, it's how stark. The 8.6% looks like it was a considerable number on that first slide, right? But then you compare it to the energy number here, we're talking about 33% year over year. Absolute craziness.
Yeah, it's completely out of hand. We're actually going to do a video on that separately, looking at what could be done.
Energy price wise, I like it. I like that take. I mean, the U.S. national gas prices broke $5 a gallon. Personally, I'm up in the Northeast and we use fuel oil for heating up here. Fuel oil year over year price increases over 100%. Literally doubled.
That's ridiculous.
Those numbers are not sustainable.
Gas here is $5.70.
I'm personally spending. Oh, gas here is just about $5. It's I think I paid $4.89 actually yesterday. Personally, I'm now spending $100 a week on gas basically. So that's crazy. This thing I have to spend $400 a month, where something last year I was paying $250.
Yeah, no, that's disgusting. It's not okay.
And the same thing with food. I was talking to a colleague that's got a family of 4, and they're now spending $1,000 a month on food, whereas last year would have been $600 or so.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to look into Costco.
Interesting.
I think that might be a good stock.
For the stock? Oh, okay. So you personally, maybe that's a thought. I don't up here, I don't have Costco so close to me. I go to BJ's on occasion, I go to BJ's, anyways. Yeah, exactly. When you look at the actual like cost of like a budget breakdown for the average American household, housing 30%. Housing market's something we could do a separate video actually on too. You've seen some signs locally. When you talk about national numbers, it still hasn't had a whole ton of movement. When you're talking about like specific locales, like you're starting to see some changes, some shift in the wind, if you will, a little bit. Transportation is when you're talking about the whole gas, and like all these numbers right here are kind of based upon prior data. This is not up to date, unfortunately. I forget exactly when the budget snapshot here was from, about 2020. So as you can imagine, like it's become far more skewed now as we're looking at this tremendous food cost increase and fuel increase for transportation.
Yeah, and I mean, transportation affects everything, right? Because if you're transferring food to a grocery store, you're paying diesel gas for a giant truck, which is up like 90% that it was like, I don't know, 18 months ago. So
Yeah.
it affects everything across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually from so 2020 is when they had this data from. So
That's 2020.
it's yeah, it's so cute to me. $1,500 in gasoline, like a year. That's insane. That's like 3 months basically, or 4 months for my household, not even. And
Yeah,
like it's
I bought a house in November that has natural gas. I was like, oh, I've never had this before. I don't even
that
actually
worked
know
out.
what it controls because it's electric too. So I don't know how my own house works. I don't know like what
Interesting.
parts are gas.
Yeah, must be nice to live in a warm climate.
So
When
not right
you,
now.
Yeah, I guess
It's
for
not.
AC purposes. When you look at actual cost per BTU, like heat at home, natural gas is actually the best. So you like that with that. And not surprisingly, as a result of these ridiculous inflation numbers and like the squeeze that the average consumer is feeling, because when you look at this data too, they also talked about wages. Real wages, when you inflation adjust for the wage growth, it's about negative 0.6, meaning we all took a pay cut last month, effectively.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's going to continue to happen actually.
Yep. Not surprised. And then so, what are you going to get out of the result of this? You're going to watch consumer sentiment, which is consumer spending makes up 70% of the U.S. economy, just continue to find lower and lower levels. The official data doesn't come out until the 24th of the month, but this was like their most recent projection from, I think it's the University of Michigan, and provides this data.
It's
No
gonna
wonder.
it's gonna make negotiating contracts, if anyone is a contracted employer, very interesting, right? Because a traditional raise is not going to be enough now.
Oh God, yeah. I know these companies trying to throw around these little 3%. Here's your little 3%. Like, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll let you know what
not
I
going
think
to
about that
work.
3%. Yeah, I like I said, I have a standard schedule for my first 3 years of my job where it's 5%, 5%, 10%. This is my last 5% year, so it'll be nice next year. I'll get caught back up with inflation, maybe as long as it's under 10% next year. Um, so when we look at a longer chart of consumer sentiment, go back 50 years. Look at the level we're approaching here. Like, no.
Yeah, so what? So 1980 is the worst one, huh? Okay.
Yeah. So the water cooler sentiment is certainly pretty horrible right now. I can't tell you like the last time I had a conversation with someone that had a positive opinion of the U.S. economy overall. Which is setting up for a lot of interesting dominoes to fall, particularly in like a midterm election year, and like this kind of sentiment is what drives a lot of this stuff. Ultimately, it's funny. Jay Powell never come out and say this, but he needs this to happen, right? He needs people to be a little bit less optimistic in order to cool spending.
Yeah, and I mean, there's five more rate increases at point 0.5 an increase, correct?
So after the CPI numbers came out this week, the actual like leading predictor basically for what rate hike we think we're going to get now is most next one for next week, I think it is 0.75% now.
I made the biggest mistake ever taking 100% profit on those TLT puts, man.
Yep.
Damn.
Oh, well, then Burry closed way earlier than you did. So what the hell was he thinking? He's supposed to be some sort of genius.
I calculated the other day, it was at 300%.
Yeah. Well, it may not be still a bad trade at this point. Unfortunately, it seems kind of crazy to chase things like that, but it looks like it's still going to be going on for a little while. The inflation just won't quit. You have this kind of sign that inventory is built up, that maybe consumer demand is cooling a little bit for at least some categories. where Target is over here having to slash prices. This is something that will actually drive a little bit of deflation, but I don't know how much. It really depends on what sort of effect this is going to have. They're actually even increasing the size of their clearance section, apparently. This is what the report was this week.
Yeah, to make way for school stuff or something. I don't know.
Whatever they want to tell themselves. But
either way, took a hit.
Yeah. I mean, arguably so. I mean, rightfully so. I definitely get it. They're going to have to be selling this stuff off at a thinner margin, or even potentially, break even, something like that, in order to clear out this stuff, because they built up a big backlog. This, to me, is evidence that, once again, like I know I'm speaking against Biden here, but his op-ed where he talked about supply chain issues is just like falling on deaf ears, because supply chain issues can't have Target having a surplus of goods that they have to discount to sell. That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
This is a demand problem.
Yeah.
It'd be politically unpopular to come out and say it's all you guys, you, me, everyone, out there spending too much damn money.
Yeah, it'd work, but yeah,
it's honest.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty. This is a kind of another thing you're seeing here as far as consumer. What do you call it? Personal savings rate for U.S. consumers, down to 4.4%. So people are still spending money. They're not stacking it in bank accounts like they were during the pandemic. We still aren't near a low level pre the 2008 Great Recession. You saw this dipping down at the mid 2.5% rate. So we still have a little bit more room to go down on that if we choose to do so, but still far below historical levels. Talking about a 10% savings rate back decades ago. Still, pretty thin.
That whole everyone's saving more money during the pandemic kind of flipped real quick, huh? Look at those. I mean, that was like a 180 immediately. Just.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is one of the first times you're seeing large direct cash payments to consumers, so it's not surprising you saw such a dramatic shift from baseline.
Yeah,
this wasn't just a little bit of encouragement not to spend money. This was we're going to send you money, and you've got to find something to do with it, maybe.
Yeah, not good.
Or you can let it sit in your account. But that's really it. I don't know. How you feeling about the U.S. economy?
Not good.
No?
We're gonna have an oil video and a SPY video. I think SPY's about to make their biggest leg down, and we'll talk about that. I think we're gonna shatter the current support that's happening, and I don't think it's gonna be a very fun summer.
Interesting. Summertime. You think you're calling for a summer sell-off? You don't think it's gonna wait until October? Because that was my guess, to be honest.
Let me fix this. I think it's going to break the current low during summer,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it could have an even worse low in October, but it's going to break the current low, yes.
You know what's funny, too? I wanted to mention, you and I had looked at this one Instagram video where it's Warren Buffett talking about economists, and he brings up a great point about this. He's like, we all love to watch it, talk about the economy and that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, do you see a lot of billionaire economists out there?
Yeah. It's the same thing with stock analysts, right?
Exactly. To me, basically, I try to look at the businesses and try to find businesses that I think that are undervalued. That have massive negative sentiment that they don't deserve. That's literally what I try to do with investing. And the economic stuff is fun to look at, fun to think about, and that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really change how I try to invest my money.
Yeah, that's what the GameStop guy did, right? Kind of.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he said the stock should not be this low, and they have a 99% short float. So he just put all his savings into it and killed it.
Perfect. Hey, worked out well for him, that's for sure.
Yeah, did not work out for a lot of people on Wall Street bets immediately after that. But
yeah,
all right, guys, let us know how you're feeling about the economy. And try not to get political, maybe. I don't know.
Get political. Who cares?
We'll see.
All right. See you guys in the next one.
Later.